I want us to go ahead to do operators. So we discussed the different operators in our arithmetic operators. I hope up to this far we are good. Arithmetic operators. So on arithmetic operators, we said we use arithmetic operators to perform mathematical operations. Like for example, addition, we have subtraction, we have division, we have multiplication, and so on. So this is the operators we are going to see how to apply in Python. So let me just comment something. Arithmetic operators are used to perform mathematical operations. We're starting with arithmetic operators, which we said is used to perform mathematical operations. And then let me go ahead and create two identifiers or two variables. Let me create two variables. I'm assuming I have a variable x, which stores a value, for example, let's say 10. And then I have a variable y, which stores a value, for example, let's say 5. So these variables, I'm going to use them to do mathematical arithmetic operations using the addition, subtraction, division, floor division, and so on, multiplication, modular operation, and so on. So I run this. So I have my value for x. If I run x, I have 10, and if I run y, I have 5. So I need to perform some operations. First, let me start with addition. Yeah, let me start with addition. So for addition, we have our variable x, and then we have our variable y. So yes, adding x plus y, right? So x plus y will give us 15. That is 10 plus 5, which is 15. I hope that is clear. And then we have subtraction. Yeah. So for subtraction, we can say we have a variable x minus y. So 10 minus 5 will give us 5. That is for the subtraction arithmetic operation. And then we can do multiplication. So for multiplication, we have our variable x, and then we use the asterisk sign. So this is the star sign, that is, yeah. So x times y. So this is multiplication. Right? So 5 times 10 gives us 50. And then we can do division. Yeah. So let's say division. So for division, we can say we have x divided by y. Right? So 10 divided by 2, 10 divided by 5, it will give us 2.0. So this gives us a whole value, like the main the floor value and the remainder. Yeah. we have exponent. We have other divisions of we have other operators. For example, we have the quotient operator or the floor division operator. So the floor division operator, it will give us only the whole number. It will not give us the remainder of this division, right? So let's see. So the floor operation or the floor division, we have, let me first say quotient or floor, we call it floor division, right? So this floor division, it is the double, we use two division signs. This division sign, we use two division signs. So we have x, and then we have these two division signs. So this is the floor division divided by y. So this gives us the main or the whole value, the whole number of our division. It excludes the remainder, right? It excludes the remainder. And then we have the exponent. Exponent operation is actually the values we square or we raise to another value, right? For example, we have okay, let's say exponent operation. So we have x, we use double asterisk signs, yeah. So it will be 5 raised to power 10, yeah, 5 raised to power 10, which gives us a total of 100,000. So that is simply how we can do or that is simply how we can perform the different arithmetic operations, right? The different arithmetic operations. So we have conversion or relational operators. So here we said we're trying to compare the values. We check either it returns a true value or a false value according to the. So let me explain it here. Sorry. So these operators, they are used to compare to compare the values. Let me say to compare the values, and it returns a Boolean results. Yeah. So let's go ahead and create a variable. Create two variables. Yeah. Let's say, for example, I create a variable. Let me say I create a variable m, and then I store a value 20, and then I create a variable n, and then I store a value 30. So I'm going to do the comparisons, right? I'm going to do the comparisons using the comparison operators. So I run this. So I have my m as a value, storing a value 20, and I have my n storing a value of 30. So remember, we have these signs. We have less than, we have greater than, we have not equal to, we have greater than or equal to, we have less than or equal to. Yeah, so this is our comparison operators. Also, we have double equal signs. Yeah. So let's go one by one. I have my m, and then I want to do, say m is less than n. So it's going to check my value m, which is 20, yeah, and then less than n. So this is what happens. I have 20 less than 30. So it will check, is 20 less than 30? Yeah. So if it is true, it returns a true result. Yeah, it returns a true result. That means 20 is less than that. So it's trying to compare between these two values. And then we have greater than. Yeah, we have greater than, which is m greater than n. So again, it's going to compare. Is 20 greater than 30? Of course, which is false. Yeah. So there's no way 20 can be greater than 30. So it returns a false result. And then we have not equal to. So you are going to compare. M is not equal to n. So that means I'm checking if 20 is not equal to 30. Yeah, which is of course true. Yeah, so 20 cannot be equal to 30. So it returns a true result. And then we have greater than or equal to. So we can say we have m is greater than or equal to n. So that means I'm checking if 20 is greater than or equal to 30. Yeah, which is of course false. Yeah, there's no way 20 can be greater than or equal to 30. Another operation is we have less than or equals to. So we have m is less than or equal to n, which means I'm checking if 20 is less than or equal to 30, which is true. So 20 is less or equal to 30. Also, I can check if these two values are the same or they are equal using the double equal signs. So I can say I have my m n to n. So that means I'm checking if 20 is similar to 30, which is of course false. Yeah, which is false. So that is how a comparison operator works. It simply gives us for this, let me create another variable. Let me have two values. N, let me say j, I give it 20, and then k, I give it 20. So now I have two values which variables which store the same number of values. Yeah, so let me check if this j and k are the same. I use the double equal sign, so this is equal to. Yeah, so it is j equal to k. So it will return a true result. That is because 20 is similar to 20. Yeah, so what if I check 20? I want to say 20 is not equal to 20. That means it gives me a false result. Yeah, so I'm trying to check if 20 is not equal to 20. 20 is not equal to 20, which will give me a false result. So I'm trying to say that 20 is not equal to 20. So this will give me a false result. Yeah, because 20 is simply equal to 20. So that is what we are trying to check. I hope that is clear up to that far. And then we have logical operators. Logical operators. So here we've said logical operators are used are used on conditional statements. Yeah, for example, we have and we have not and we have or. Yeah, and we have said it returns true or false. So these logical operators include, let me use this logical operators include and, not, and or, and then they return boolean results. Yeah, so let's go ahead and to do something on these logical operators. So I want to create variables. Yeah, remember we are dealing with variables, so these variables are the one you are trying to compare with other variable. So we can have a variable a, and then we store a value. For example, we can talk of 3. Yeah, and then we have a variable p, and we can store a value, for example, let's say 5. Yeah, so we have a and b, which stores 3 and 5 respectively. So I'm going to check to compare these two values using logical operations. So first I can say I have a is less than I can give it a value, let me say 4. Yeah, and then I have my AND operation. Yeah, and I have p, and I give it a conversion of let me say again 4. So this is what is happening. I'm trying to compare if my value a, which is 3, remember my variable a stores a value 3, so 3 is less than 4. Yeah, and 5 is greater than 4. So what happens is it returns true if these both two conditions are true. It returns true if these two conditions are true. But if any of these condition is false, it returns false. Or if both of these conditions are false, it still returns false. So let's see. We have 3 less than 4. That is true. Yeah, 3 is less than 4. And then we have 5 greater than 4. That is also true. So both of these conditions are true. That means our output will be true. So it's comparing these two using the AND operation. If one of these conditions were false, it could return false. Let's see. We have a is less than okay, let's say a 3 is less than 4. That is true. And then 5 is greater than let me say 7. Yeah, so I give my p to be 7. So I have a false condition here. Sorry. So that means I'm expecting to get a false output because one of these condition is false. So that is for the AND operation. I hope that is clear. And then we have OR. Yeah, we have OR. Okay, let me comment on something here. The AND logical operation returns true if both conditions are true, else it returns false. It returns false. Yeah, so this should be there. And then we have the OR operation. if we have OR operation, for example, we have our variable a, yeah, a is less than let's say 4, or p is greater than let's say p is greater than 2 or 4, let's say 2. So we are trying to compare if a value a, which is 3, is less than 4, which is true, or a value 5 is greater than 2, which is also true. So this returns true if any of this condition is true. Also, it returns true if both of these conditions are true, but it returns false if both of these conditions are false. Yeah, I hope that is clear. So one of these conditions, or both of these conditions, are true. 3 is less than 4, and 5 is greater than 2. That is true. Both conditions are true, so it returns a true condition. But if one of these conditions, or both of these conditions, are false, it will return a false operation or a false result. And then we have is not. Yeah, we have a not condition. We have not condition. So not is trying to check if a given value is in another value. So we can continue to another operation, which is not condition. So for not, we're trying to check if a given value is in another value. We're trying to check if a value is in another value or is similar to another value. Yeah, that is like trying to check the equal operations, double equal operation. For example, we have a, and then we have is not, then we have b. So this means I'm trying to say a is not equal to b. Yeah, I'm trying to say a is not equal to b. That is what I'm trying to do. For example, okay, this is one example. Let me give you another example. I have two variables. F equals to 3, let me say 19, and L equals to, I assign it to a value 19 also. So I'm going to check if F19 is not 19. Let me see. F is not L. Yeah, so it gives me a false result. So I mean a value 19 is not or is not equal to a value 19. That is what I'm trying to do here. Let's see the assignment operators. For example, we have actually it's what we have been doing. Yeah, so assignment operators. So I have a variable x, I assign to a value 5. Yeah, I have a variable y, I assign to a value 7. Yeah, and then maybe I want to get the sum of these two variables. So I can say I create another variable, I can call it sums, and then I add a variable to these two variables. I get the sum of these two variables. So I will have my x plus y. So I'm assigning the sum of x and y to the sums variable, right? So this will give me the sum of these two values, which is 5 and 5 and 7, which is 7 plus 5, which is of course 12. So that is how we can simply do the assignment operations. Yeah, we are trying to find the sum of two values, and then we store it to another variable, right?